Hello everybody and welcome back to my channel. My name is Margaret, also known as Margaret Corleone Blues or MCB 7280, and this is my first official video, and this is also the third time I filmed it. I've had, for whatever reason, like a million technical difficulties with this video, so this is my third and hopefully last time filming this because I just want to get this uploaded. I'm so sick of filming this video for like the millionth time. But anyway, like I said, this is my first official non-introductory video, and I thought today, since I said I was going to be talking about movies a lot or mostly on this channel, that I'd make a little video about my top 10 favorite movies of all time. I'm not going to be doing like super in-depth like explanations about why they're my favorites. You know, I'm just going to like mention a couple things and like a significance they've had in my life or whatever. I can do like extra videos on some of them if you want me to. I know I definitely will do some on at least like the top 2 videos or movies that I mention, so just let me know like what else you want to see. And like there was a bunch of other movies that I could have put on this list, so I can do another top 10 movies if you'd like to see that also. And you know, just keep in mind I'm just talking, you know, about my opinion, so if you don't like these movies, then just click off, I guess, or make your own video talking about your top 10 favorite movies, because this is my list, and I hope you will enjoy. I hope you will like and comment, even if it's mean. I don't care. I can handle it. And subscribe, and, you know, tell all your friends, and let me know what else you want me to talk about, because I'm pretty much down with talking about anything. I am feeling like Athena or something with my headband. And I should play Athena in a movie because my dad's actually from Athens. I'm half Greek. I don't know if I mentioned that in my other video, but yeah. Speaking of my little head thing and my sweatshirt, they're a hint for one of the movies to come, and I think judging from my background, you might be able to tell a couple other videos, or sorry, other movies that I may be talking about. So without further ado, let's get into it. So I'm kind of glad that I had to do this for a third time, because this is kind of going to be 11 movies, because there was one movie that I was debating putting on my 10th slot, and I picked another movie for my 10th slot, but I actually rewatched this one last night, and I kind of forgot how much I love it, so I had to give it an honorable mention. So for number 11 / honorable mention, it is Seventh Psychopaths.
Calling all psychopaths! Are you mental or deranged? Maybe you've recently been hospitalized, but are now okay. Or maybe the world just doesn't understand you. Yeah, right. Well, I'm writing a screenplay with my friend called The Seventh Psychopath. And if your story is crazy or quirky enough, we might use it for our movie. So please call Billy Bickle on 210-555-0155.
So it's directed by Martin McDonagh, who made 3 Billboards Outside of Ebbing, Missouri, and also in Bruges. But this one didn't get enough or as much attention, and I kind of wish it did. It has Sam Rockwell, Colin Farrell, Christopher Walken, Woody Harrelson, Tom Waits, and it's a killer cast. And I love this movie. I think it's weirdly heartwarming. It's kind of a dark comedy, but I wouldn't say it's as like emotional as 3 Billboards, but it does have a lot of really emotional moments, and I think it's just a really good blend of humor and violence and heart. Like weirdly, like you have Woody Harrelson as like this scary mafia boss, but like his dog is his entire life, and he loves his dog more than anything, and it's weirdly cute. And Sam Rockwell, like before this movie, I saw this movie a while ago. My sister had seen it somewhere, and she showed it to me, and I was like instantly obsessed. And I had only seen Sam Rockwell and embarrassingly only Iron Man 2 at that point. And now I love Sam Rockwell. He completely stole the show as Billy Bickle. Billy's one of my favorite movie characters like ever. He's funny and he's terrifying. And I think might be my favorite performances of Sam Rockwell's, and I kind of wish he got an Oscar nomination for it. And it has Christopher Walken. You can't not love Christopher Walken. And it has one of my favorite Christopher Walken moments of all time. It also has a amazing soundtrack. Like, it has Linda Ronstadt on it. as the final song in the movie, and I love Linda Ronstadt. She's my favorite female singer. So if you have not seen this movie, you should definitely check it out because it's so good. It's funny. It's super violent. It's a little over the top. I like over the top ridiculous things. And it's just all in all, I love everything about this movie. There's not a single thing that I don't love. And I actually have a poster of it, but it's over there, but it's kind of falling down because I was going to move it because I need like my 100th John Belushi poster. There's a samurai poster on sale on eBay, and like that's going to go up. So I'm going to move that somewhere else so I can show that later. I might do like a video showing like my decor in my room because I like the decor in my room. So anyway, let's move on. Okay, so for each movie, I'm going to be talking about my favorite character and my favorite scene, or just mention them. So for my favorite scene of Seven Psychopaths, it's when Hans, aka Christopher Walken, Marty, aka Colin Farrell, and then Billy, aka Sam Rockwell, they're all helping Marty work on his script for his movie. And Billy comes up with this scene. It's like this final shootout, and they like he's like telling the story, but they show it playing out, and it's like this completely ridiculous, over the top scene, and I literally have it memorized. It's like one of the funniest moments in cinematic history. It's one of my favorite scenes ever. Like there's this scene where Christopher Walken like rises out of a coffin with these guns and just starts shooting everybody.
Maybe the Jack of Diamonds was expecting to get double-crossed because he just happens to have brought a couple of friends along. Suddenly, from out of every fucking grave, burst the Seven Psychopaths, a gun in every hand.
And oh my god, I love that movie so much. And please go watch it if you have not seen it, because I really wish it was as popular as like In Bruges and Three Billboards. So yeah, go check out Seven Psychopaths if you haven't seen it.
Maybe there can be peace because that'd be good.
So now really getting into the top 10. So like I said, there was a lot of movies that I probably could have put for my 10th slot. So for this slot, I decided to finally pick Martin Scorsese's 1995 mob epic Casino. Now, I feel like it's basic of me to say that Martin Scorsese is my favorite director, but there's a reason he's so many people's favorite director. He's amazing, and yeah, everything. I love his directing style, I guess. I don't know. But Casino's probably my favorite movie of his, and I kind of wanted to give it a shout out because I don't think it's as loved as his other movies, and I don't know why, because I think it's just as good as them. I think it was overshadowed a little bit by Goodfellas, since Goodfellas did come out only a couple years before and had like all the Oscar stuff with Joe Pesci and everything. So I kind of feel like that getting all the accolades and Casino having like the same cast and some similar vibes, maybe they were like, let's not like give them all the awards again, because I think Joe Pesci's performance as Nicky is just as good as his performance as Tommy DeVito. And I love Robert De Niro as Ace Rothstein. It's one of my favorite roles of his. Also, I think it's when he's the hottest, if you don't mind me saying. Yeah, I love the soundtrack. I love like vintage Las Vegas. So just like the visuals of this movie are stunning to me. Like this was on TV the other day, really late, so I was watching it with the sound off so I wouldn't wake anybody up. And just like watching it, just the visuals was just as good because it's just beautiful. I love anything like vintage Las Vegas. Oh, and the costumes, like Sharon Stone and Robert De Niro's costumes in this movie, like it baffles me that this didn't get an Oscar nomination for best costumes. And I'm pretty sure the costumes cost like half the budget for the movie. I also love the opening scene where you see Ace blow up, but you don't really know what happens, and then it gets into like the opening credits, and you know that's kind of Martin Scorsese's usual opening of showing something that happens later in the movie and then kind of leaving it on a cliffhanger and then going back to it at the end of the movie. And I kind of like that ending. I love the ending scene where they show like what happens to Ace, and then it goes into all the old casinos like being destroyed, and it's kind of like this cool little changing of the guard thing of showing metaphorically with both Ace and the casinos blowing up that, you know, Vegas is changing. But yeah, I don't wear suits, but I want all of Ace Rothstein's suits in my size, especially the red one. That suit is everything. Oh, another fun story about Casino. So the guy that Joe Pesci's character Nicky was based on, Anthony Spilotro, he died before this movie was made, and so when they were making this movie, they were actually filming in the casinos in Vegas, like at night after they were closed, and everybody was terrified of Anthony Spilotro. And so Joe Pesci looked so much like him that when he'd go into the casinos at night, people would freak out because they actually thought that he was back from the dead, and they were like, oh, he's coming for my money, we're all gonna die. So yeah, Joe Pesci. How about that, Joe Pesci? Okay, so favorite character and favorite scene. Like I said, I like Ace, and it's between Ace and Nicky. I'm like, Ace is one of my favorite Robert De Niro roles, and then Nicky is Joe Pesci. So, I mean, yeah. And one time Joe Pesci looked at me. That's going to be a whole video about, I actually went to the Irishman premiere at the New York Film Fest, and I didn't even have tickets, and it's kind of a crazy story. But, yeah, Joe Pesci looked at me. So, that was the highlight of my life, and I have met Al Pacino twice. So, I love Joe Pesci. So that's gonna be another video. Favorite scene, like I said, the ending with seeing what happens to Ace and that whole scene, and then going into the showing of Vegas like being destroyed, and kind of like the whole symbolism of it and the movie and everything. And I just love it, and I love Martin Scorsese. And so next, my number 9 pick is Scarface from 1983.
Antonio Montana. And you? What you call yourself?
So as you probably know, I'm a huge Al Pacino fan. Like I said in my intro video, him and John Belushi are the loves of my life. And this was the first Al Pacino movie that I actually saw, and it's what kind of got me obsessed with him. So it kind of holds a special place in my heart. And I know Scarface, a lot of people don't like it because it's a little over the top, but I like that. I mean, I'm from Maryland, so we have John Waters. He's like our Lord and Savior, so I kind of like over the top violence and stuff like that. Yeah, I like the whole anti-hero story. It's probably my favorite, like, I don't know if I want to say like literary device. I guess trope. I don't know. Yeah, it's my favorite type of story. I just think with like the right acting and writing, it really shines above like other stories for me. And the end scene is like one of the best in like cinematic history in my opinion. I remember watching that scene and being like, yeah, Al Pacino is amazing and cool, and I need to watch the rest of his movies. So that's why I like Al Pacino so much. Scarface is such a classic, and I've actually never seen the original. So that might be something to do on this channel one day. But I like that, even though I like that it's a reboot, but they like kind of made it their own, and I kind of wish more reboots would do that. Like, it took the basic premise of Scarface, which the original version was about like the Italian mafia, but they took it and they made it modern, and they put it with like, the Cuba Fidel Castro stuff, so they made it with like a current issue. And I know they were talking about, they've been talking about doing a Scarface remake for like the last like at least 5 years or something. So my hope is, if they do the remake, it's just not like a straight up Tony Montana retelling. It's, what they did, take the name Tony still and like the basic premise, but kind of make it more modern, if that makes sense. And I think it could work out like that. That's like what I want them to do if they do a remake. But yeah, I love Scarface eternally, and Al Pacino eternally, and I have a poster of him in the bathtub up there. I'm looking at it right now. But yeah, I love Scarface. Favorite character is obviously Tony Montana.
Maybe you can handle yourself one of them first-class tickets to the resurrection.
And my favorite scene is the ending shootout scene. Say hello to my little friend.
Okay. Do you want to play rough? Okay. Say hello to my little friend.
But yeah, anyway, I love Scarface, and I know not everybody does, but you know, that's okay. It's my opinion. It's your opinion, you know. Not everybody's gonna like it. So, yeah. Okay, so on to number 8, and my outfit is a little hint at this movie. It is Animal House, National Lampoon's Animal House from 1978.
What? Over? Did you say over? Nothing is over until we decide it is. Was it over when the Germans bombed Pearl Harbor? Hell no!
German? Forget it, he's rolling.
And it ain't over now.
So I love John Belushi more than like anybody to ever exist. And when I was getting into him, I watched the first thing of his that like made me fall in love was the Blues Brothers. And then I watched his like best of compilation from the Saturday Night Live best of compilation. So then I always heard about, you know, Animal House is like his most famous role. So I'm like, okay, I need to watch that. So I watched it and I didn't really like it at first. If I'm being perfectly honest, I just kind of thought all the characters except Bluto were annoying. Then a couple months later, on John Belushi's birthday, I decided to watch it again, and I fell in love with it, and I was like, wait, I actually like this movie. This is like one of the like all-time classic comedies, and I feel like my personal feelings on why it holds up and an issue that I think comedies have now and just like any genre-based film has is that I think it's that the writing is good. It feels like a lot of modern comedies think that with like comedy movies or any genre you need that specific genre trope to tell the story. Like I feel like comedies now, a lot of comedies nowadays, they just rely on the jokes to tell the story, but I think you have to start with the foundation of good writing, good characters, and I think Animal House has that, and I think that's for a lot of Harold Ramis movies. It's like that. I feel like it has a plot and has these characters, and I feel like the plot and the characters of like these frat houses and these rival frat houses and like the deans trying to take them out, you could kind of put that in like a drama movie or like really like any genre, if that makes sense. But then you add in the comedy, and that's kind of what, it's kind of like the glue that holds it all together, if that makes sense. I just feel like in modern movies, like the basis for most of them is just like the genre, like action movies. It's just like it relies very much so on action and not storytelling. But I think with like Animal House and these classic comedies like this and Ghostbusters and the Blues Brothers, like storytelling comes first and then comes like the comedy. If that does that make sense what I'm saying? I really hope it does. But yeah, so I think that's why it holds up is yeah. Toga iconic scene. That scene is like my antidepressant. It's one of those movies I feel like I can just put on whenever and it'll just automatically cheer me up. And I know it's like considered to just be like a lowbrow comedy or whatever, but yeah, I think it all boils down to these friends standing up for each other and coming together to overcome their adversaries, and yeah. So favorite character is obviously Bluto.
See if you can guess what I am now. I'm a zit. Get it?
He is the love of my life. I'm looking at him. I have a poster of him in his toga. He's so sexy. In his toga. Bluto, my dream man over there. Yeah. I love Bluto, obviously. My favorite scene is, I love the toga scene. And also probably the scene with when the guys get back from the road trip and the car's Flounder's car is damaged and he's crying and then Bluto tries to cheer him up and it's like the cutest thing. And then Otter and D-Day, they kind of come up with the plan for what to do for the car. And that's just kind of what I meant about, you know, friends coming together and helping each other. And I don't even know if that's what Harold Ramis and Doug Kenny intended when they were writing it, but that's kind of how I feel, and I think it's a weirdly cute movie, and Bluto is the love of my life, and we're gonna get married and live happily ever after. Thank you. Bye. And also I dress like him, so we're couple goals. Thank you. So on to number 7. I feel like this one's gonna get me in trouble, but I don't care if you don't like this movie, because I feel like a lot of the people who didn't like this movie don't really know a lot about one of the real life characters of this movie, and they just think they do. So they just try to complain about this movie based on things they don't understand, and they don't actually bother doing research on this once living person. And it frustrates me, and it makes me angry that people think they're being respectful towards her when they're actually doing the opposite. But this one is Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
That was the best acting I've ever seen in my whole life.
Like you.
So I actually saw this the day before it like officially came out, because they were doing an early screening at the Regal Theater near me. And so I've never been like super into Quentin Tarantino. I love Inglourious Bastards. But before this, I was never like super like hardcore into any of his movies. Like, not that I didn't like them, because people have like this weird hate obsession with him. Like, just move on with your life. Do something more interesting. Find a movie you like and talk about that instead. Just stop complaining about things you don't like. It's just wasting your time, okay? Like, if you don't like his movies, just don't watch them. I don't know why people are so stupid. But anyway, so I went to go see this movie because Al Pacino was in it, of course. And I went and I wore my Al Pacino shirt. And I thought the movie was going to be like empty because it was on a Thursday at like 3 p.m. But it was completely full. And I didn't really know what to expect from it. And like, I knew it was going to have something to do with the Mansons and all that stuff. But I ended up liking it way more than I thought it was going to be. I was afraid I was going to be disappointed because I heard that Al Pacino's character had a really small role, and that ended up being completely fine with me because I loved everything else about the movie so much that, you know, Al Pacino being in it just became like secondary to me. And I like the non-traditional storytelling of this. I feel like when people go into movies, I feel like people don't really give different types of storytelling a chance. Like, people kind of want hero, villain, hero saves the day, like plot, blah blah blah, plot driven, action driven. Who cares about dialogue? Who cares about character driven stuff? But I do, because I majored in English and I'm super annoying about writing. So I like this movie because it was so character driven, and that each character was kind of on their own little journey, and I liked that form of storytelling. Like, you have Rick, who's in this movie, and he's trying to, you know, find himself and as the actor, and then you have Cliff trying to come out of Rick's shadow, and he meets the Mansons, and that's kind of like a whole creepy thing. And I kind of like that he makes the Mansons kind of look ridiculous and not like they're like literally the devil. But I like that the movie was kind of making fun of them. And that brings me to that I love that Quentin Tarantino did not make this the Sharon Tate show, because she's been exploited for over 50 years, and it's just so gross to me that people think everything has to be about Sharon Tate when she had to watch all of her friends die. Like, this movie really is like the first thing that shows everybody like kind of equally as the victims. Like, and it's just so odd to me that people watch this movie and they see all the victims in it, and they see all of them being treated equally, mostly, and just all of them getting a chance to speak and show themselves a little bit, and people are like, well, why isn't Sharon the star? Sharon has to be the star. This is sexist because Sharon's the star. Like, if you actually cared about the Mansons and sexism, why aren't you talking about, like, Rosemary LaBianca? Or why were you mad that Abigail Folger was in the movie? Because I thought you cared about women. But no, you don't. You just like being fake woke over Sharon Tate. I love the ending, and I actually want to do a whole video about the ending and why I liked it so much and why I think it made sense and why it worked out really well. So I'm just going to save that for another day. Like, the way they just completely dressed up like LA to look like the 60s is amazing, like the set design, and I love the color schemes of like the yellow. And yeah, I just like this movie. I love it. Yeah. My favorite scene is the ending scene. And that was one of the most fun moments I've ever had in a movie theater, when he broke out the flamethrower. And yeah, the theater went wild. That was awesome to witness in a movie theater with a ton of people who had never seen it before. And then my favorite character is J.C. Bring, because I love J.C. Bring. But yeah, everyone kind of kills their role, so it's kind of hard to tell. But yeah, this movie was also kind of the catalyst of me getting into John Belushi, but that's a story for another day. So yeah. Okay, so my number 6 pick is from 1980, and it is the absolute classic, The Shining. For like all these movies, I kind of wrote down like a couple things about what I like about the movie, and it was hard to come up with something for The Shining because it's such a classic, and Jack Nicholson's so amazing, Shelley Duvall's so amazing, Danny Lloyd's so amazing. Just like, it's hard. I've liked this movie for so long. It's just so scary. It's so fun. And I love everything about this movie. Yeah, Jack Nicholson killed that role. And it's kind of, I don't even know what to say about this movie because it's such a classic. So I saw a TikTok the other day and it was like, The Shining's mediocre. We just need to accept that. I'm like, shut up. Nobody wants your opinion on thinking The Shining's mediocre, because you obviously can leave if you think The Shining's mediocre, so leave. My favorite scene, I like when Wendy kind of finds out Jack's going crazy, and he's like, Wendy, darling, light of my life, I'm not gonna hurt ya. You didn't let me finish my sentence. And my favorite character is probably Danny. Danny's just super cool. He's very smart, adorable little kid. And I have a 3-year-old nephew. And I'm like, oh my god, one day he's just gonna be like, Rad Rom. Rad Rom.